lessons that today they seem to have gone down Winston Smith's memory hole about just how bad that French Revolution was. And I wonder, speaking of Winston Smith's job at the Ministry of Truth, is it alive today? Do we see here in America with so much of the mainstream media, what would you think that Orwell's prescription would be to handle the Ministry of Truth as it exists today?
Well, here again, in a certain way, not only have Orwell's visions, his nightmare, have been realized, technologically speaking, but even gone beyond. That is, the way in which Winston Smith, who is a wordsmith, he is a craftsman, a forger in the Ministry of Truth. After all, he's the one who creates Comrade Ogilvy, this false communist or Oceania hero at the Ministry of Truth. All a fabrication. In those days, in the 1940s, when Orwell was writing, it was necessary to fabricate information, to white out images and photographs. However, in the 21st century, in the age of the internet, the soundbite, the blog, we don't even need, formally speaking, to have memory holes. That is, all of us are suffering from a kind of ADD, attention deficit disorder, because of the way in which the media so instantaneously turns events into new news cycles. Only a decade or two ago, a soundbite was a few seconds. Now, it's less than a second. It used to be that a news cycle would run at least a few days. Then it was down to the 24-hour news cycle. Now, it's down to just within a few minutes. That is, do you really need to have someone working in a Ministry of Truth and consciously, deliberately put something down the memory hole and rectify history and work to establish the mutability of the past? All of these concepts within Minitruth, the Ministry of Truth, where Winston Smith works. Do you really need that anymore? If instead you can shorten people's attention span so radically that they don't remember that 2 + 2 = 4, that you can tell them in 1 second later that 2 + 2 = 5, and they believe it, you don't need any of that, nor do you even need Room 101. And so in this respect, Orwell is not only relevant, we have in a sense superseded the pertinence of 1984 with technological advances that he himself did not even envision, but he anticipated them. In 1984, there are telescreens in all the public places. We, however, have telescreens in even the most private places and have no idea where any of them are. Winston and Julia in 1984 can usually spot where the telescreens are. And that's why they can be so guarded in their speech and behavior. We have no idea where all the telescreens are, and that we are constantly having our privacy invaded and our private lives exposed, and then, of course, in an act of voyeurism, put forth on the internet for all to see. The Paris Hilton phenomenon. And we celebrate this. This is the crazy sense in which so many millions or billions of people hunger to participate in reality shows, one of which is ironically titled The Big Brother Show. Here again, Orwell's genius was, while not specifically and concretely anticipating in detail any of these developments, I think it's plausible that he would be shocked, though he would give only his sardonic laugh on hearing about it. But nonetheless, shocked at the extent to which his nightmare vision had become reality. How much further can we go? Orwell is at least as relevant today as he was almost 60 years ago when 1984 was published in 1949. On the 60th anniversary of the publication of 1984, on the 25th anniversary of the title date, 1984, let us remember that Orwell insisted that that title be written out fully in 3 words: 1980-4. And it is we who have, in a sense, turned it into an intellectual ideogram, a form of cultural newspeak, by narrowing that term down to 4 numerals, which is precisely the kind of critique that he warns against in the appendix to 1984, The Principles of Newspeak. He, of course, warns against it explicitly in linguistic form and worries about illiteracy. We can see, however, that what has happened is that, with supreme irony, the very title of his own book has been subject to something similar, a form of cultural, let us call it, innumeracy. If words like the Bible, which he translates into newspeak in 1984, can be narrowed down into something, just a matter of syllables that are connected, how much worse is it that words can be narrowed down and transformed into mere numbers? Because it's a metaphor of the way in which all of us have become mere numbers, identified by our social security number or by some other code, standardized, depersonalized, dehumanized. Here again, to a degree that Orwell himself might be shocked to envision.
Okay, John, that's double plus good answer there. Did you guys have a couple questions that you wanted to ask?
Now, you remember my aha moment?
What was that?
That aha moment when we're talking about what popped into my head was, of course, communists talk about religion being the opiate of the masses. So conservatism's religion, the opiate of the masses, has been replaced by the liberal crack pipe of entitlement.
That's pretty good, John. That's pretty good. How about that? You know, in your book, Every Intellectual's Big Brother, you mentioned how Orwell's words have been selectively chosen to fit and serve political purposes from all across the political spectrum. Could you share with us a few of the most glaring distortions that you think have been used not only by the left, but that we on the right have distorted about George Orwell as we've made him part of our own, as we've gone forward to try to sell our ideas in the marketplace of politics today?